Hey everyone, it's Kevin. Welcome back to the channel. So it's been about 6 months since I started 3D printing, and I wanted to make this video as kind of an overview of what that experience has been like, learning it, picking it up, and then using my very first 3D printer, which is a Bambu Lab P1S. And spoiler alert, it is a really great printer, but I wanted to make this video specifically from the perspective of someone that was completely new to the medium and still new as I'm still learning more about it. So before I got my printer last year, 3D printing was something I had been interested in for a couple of years, but it always intimidated me because it just seems so technical and complicated. And I usually get this way with any kind of hardware like my PC or audiovisual equipment. I tend to overcomplicate it. So when doing research last year, I came across the Bambu Lab printers on social media. I think it might have been an influencer that was using it, or maybe even the company using a targeted ad that I happened to see. But these printers really appealed to me because they were capable of the multicolor printing functionality, but then also they seemed super easy to set up. It was like you could just take it out of the packaging, get it set up in 10 to 15 minutes, and then you're ready to go. I had been looking for a machine that would help me focus more on the design side of things, help me be able to focus on what I could create with a 3D printer rather than just the technical side. And obviously I knew that in picking up 3D printing, tinkering and the technical aspects of it was inevitably a part of it, but I wanted to see if there was a way that I could mitigate that and then just focus more on what I knew. But honestly, I didn't really know what to expect. So in going to the website, Bambu has 3 different kinds of printers: the X1 series, the P1 series, and then A1. I ended up getting the P1S, which is the mid tier, X1 is the upper tier, and then the A1 is the lower tier. The P1 seemed fine for my purposes. I could get that multicolor printing functionality by just getting the AMS attachment, the automatic material system, which allows for 4 spools to be put in there, and then the printer could switch between them depending on your design. And it also included a camera and capable of printing the filament that I planned on working with, which was PLA. I wasn't planning on working with anything more complicated than that because I didn't want to overwhelm myself too much. I just wanted to take it step by step. I know that the X1C was capable of using other materials and it had a lot more other capabilities, but I figure the mid-tier model was best for me for right now. I actually wasn't planning on getting it. I just wanted to get more information, but they happened to be having an anniversary sale, and I ended up just getting the P1S because it felt like a great opportunity. And I was apprehensive because I wasn't sure I was going to have the same easy experience that a lot of other people had said, because again, I overthought about it, but it was fine and I've been happy with it ever since. Now, there have been some challenges and learnings that I've had to go through, but again, that's just like with any process, and I'll go over that in this video, including some of my favorite prints that I've made. When my package arrived, I was really excited about it. I even made an entire unboxing, and if you want to check that out, I'll put a link below to that video. But I was also pretty intimidated because it was pretty big. And you know, not super big, but it was big for my space. I don't really have a lot of space to put things. I was a little bit unsure of where I was going to put it, but I did find space in my office closet, and that situation seems fine and has been working fine for right now. The setup was pretty straightforward. I was able to easily take it out of its packaging and it was packed very nicely. The instructions were really clear and everything was pretty straightforward, but because I took my time with it, I just wanted to make sure that I didn't break it and I was doing everything correctly. It did take me a couple of hours, but like going back to, could you set this up in like 10 to 15 minutes? Yes, you definitely can, because within the 4 months of having this printer, I ended up buying an additional one. And because I wasn't filming and I knew all of the steps of how to get it up and ready, I ended up just setting it up and doing my first print within that amount of time. And it was, again, super easy to do. I really liked how Bambu had a really great app and then the slicer software that accompanied it, which is Bambu Studio. And the slicer software is where you prepare all of your 3D files for print. Everything seemed pretty centralized, and again, this is someone who's completely new to it, but everything seemed really seamless. That experience of using the app to being able to set up the printer, I really liked how I could monitor my printer health from the app, see how my prints were doing, see my filaments, because I was using the Bambu Lab filaments, and they have the RFID, so it could tell me which colors were in each slot. I do want to try other filaments that people have recommended to me, like eSun and Sunlu, because I've heard those are compatible with the AMS as well, but I'm probably just going to work through whatever Bambu Lab filaments I already have. The other things were that it wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be. It was a much more manageable size from when I first saw it in its packaging, which was great because I was able to make some space in the closet for it. The concern that I have is I'm not sure if it's in the most optimal location, because I know the printer can emit some harmful chemicals and airborne substances when it is printing, and I just want to make sure that I have proper ventilation, because there hardly isn't any in there except for the door leading into it. Another thing was sound. Sound wasn't something I took into consideration when looking for a 3D printer, and this is just because I didn't know, like I didn't realize that 3D printers make sound. So when I got it and I did my first few test prints, it actually wasn't bad. I again have it in a separate room, so if I have the door closed, I can hear it faintly. It isn't too distracting, but if it was in the room with me, I would be able to hear it. Once I got everything set up, I printed out my first Benchy, which is this little toy boat. And I think this is the benchmark print that most 3D printers use in order to test out the capabilities, or I guess it's like a pretty standard or default print. And I was really happy about it because I was able to see something materialize into physical space from like a digital file. And then the next thing was this other figurine, this Luffy figure I found on the Bambu app. And I think this actually connects to a greater website. I did another test print and I even got more excited. So I was able to get more confident to print other things. In addition to those first few prints, I printed out these little Maxwell keychains and this Theo doppelganger, which were really fun because I was just testing out the AMS, or the multicolor printing capabilities, and I was really impressed by the quality and how the colors binded together. I was like, I can't believe I made this. And then I was also happy with some other prints I made for my plants, like these trellises, pots, and planters. I created other functional items like this poop chute, which was a really great utility for my printer. When you print multicolor on a Bambu Lab printer, it'll spit out these artifacts from behind it. So this is essentially just a tray that catches all of those artifacts, so you can just pick it up and then dump it in the trash. And the coolest print I've made is this 3D printed lithophane. This was a gift from my sister Heather and brother-in-law Tom. They gifted me this CMYK lithophane kit from Bambu Lab. And this was something that I had been eyeing for a while. I wanted to see what other things I could create with 3D printing involving other components. And this was just really awesome. I was so happy to create something that was functional, but also cool to look at. And it just opened my mind to other possibilities. Now, a primary way that I have been using my 3D printer is by creating HueForge prints. So HueForge is a software that converts your 2D images into 3D STLs that you can print out as physical objects. And it's not like just printing something on a flat piece of paper, but it's almost printing something out like a tablet or something that you could hold that has texture. Now, coming from a 2D background, before I started this YouTube channel and becoming a 3D artist, I worked primarily as a graphic designer and illustrator. So being able to see my flat art in this way was very mind-blowing. And I started a series using this capability. It's these tarot-like cards inspired by my favorite video games. And I also printed this bookmark which features Theo, and this is inspired by a 2D 3D scene that I made in Blender. So there have been lots of possibilities that I've been able to pursue with HueForge and 3D printing. As far as learning goes, I've learned a lot on the design side and then on the 3D printer settings side. So for design, the 3D program that I primarily use is Blender 3D, and this is a program that I've used for most of my work, and I wanted to make sure that I used it for this purpose. But I know that it's not really the most prioritized CAD program for this purpose, and I really needed to learn a lot in terms of how to optimize my models and whatever I was creating for print. And then also to make sure that the units that I was working with was transferable to the slicer software. So this took a little bit of learning, but I was able to figure it out. And now my workflow is pretty compatible using Blender 3D and then incorporating it into Bambu Studio. The second thing was with HueForge. HueForge was able to help me understand my slicer settings better. Now, as I said, I really like working with HueForge, but I wasn't achieving a consistent quality across the same kind of print. Like a lot of my prints would come out differently, and there are a lot of resources on HueForge. I think even the creator has a YouTube channel, and then there's a lot of other YouTube videos out there. But for some reason, just even working with those options wasn't working for me. And I have an embarrassingly crazy amount of experiments that I've done with HueForge prints, but that helped me learn more about the settings that I was working with, from like nozzle heat to speed to infill. So I was really grateful for that process, but it was pretty challenging to figure out what the correct options were for what purpose I was working with. I'm sure that this is going to help me be able to understand how I could set my printer settings for models in the future. Now, other learnings not related to the design aspect or printer settings are storing filaments. So this was a pretty big concern for me because PLA and filaments in general, they are susceptible to getting wet, and this can negatively impact the quality of your prints and contribute to things like stringiness. And stringiness is when your nozzle will accidentally pull some residual PLA that it hasn't fully extruded across your print, and then your print will just end up a jumbled mess. And there are other factors that contribute to stringiness. It's not just how you store your PLA. It could be nozzle temperature, for example. But if you do store your PLA correctly, you can help prevent that from happening in the long run. For me, I have a lot of plants in this room, and I need to keep the humidity above a certain percentage, so I even have a humidifier to support that, but that stands in direct opposition to how I need to keep my PLA. So I've been having to find solutions like a Ziploc bag. I think I found this online from a Reddit post, but I've been putting my PLA spools in a Ziploc bag with the desiccant bags that they come with. When you buy filaments, they all come with these bags, so you can just reuse them and put them in whatever storage situation that you have, and they'll draw out moisture. The thing is, those desiccant bags can accumulate quite a bit of water, so you'll need to be mindful of how long you've been using one and just make sure to keep some reserve on hand. The other thing is 3D printer positioning, which I already briefly talked about. But because the printer can emit some harmful fumes and airborne substances, it's important to have it in a room that gets a lot of great ventilation. It can't be in a room that has concentrated heat, so it isn't a fire hazard, and it needs to be on a good surface. This is something that I really need to prioritize in the coming months for my printers. The printer also does get pretty dirty inside of it and then even outside of it, so there's a lot of constant cleaning and upkeep that I need to do there. And the last thing is the plate. So it's a magnetic plate that attaches onto the hotbed of the printer so that it protects the hotbed, but then also you could just remove your prints easily once they're done and then take them off. But I didn't realize that you needed to clean this as often. Like, I knew I needed to clean it, but I just didn't realize, like, some people do it after every single print or after every 1 to 3 prints. But now, because I use my printers almost every single day for extended periods of time, I need to make sure that I clean them after every single print. So I've been able to make this solution that is comprised of hydrogen peroxide and water, and then I just spray the plate and then wipe it clean so there isn't any residue buildup. So with that said, here is a reel of all of the projects that I've created with my 3D printer so far. As far as issues go, I feel like I don't really have a lot, as my experience with my printers have generally been good, but there are two issues related to that second printer that I feel like I need to talk about in case they get any worse. So the second printer was pretty easy to set up. Again, it was done in 15 minutes and I did my first test print. But after that first test print, I got these two warnings that said the resonance frequency of the X and Y axis is low. The timing belt may be loose. Now, this was pretty concerning because I wasn't sure if this was something that I caused, like maybe I had pulled it out of the packaging too quickly, or maybe it was a firmware issue. But after doing some research, I found that some people were encountering this problem as well on Reddit and then even the Bambu help page. So I did whatever Bambu recommended in the wiki by doing some of the troubleshooting steps. But honestly, none of them really helped and the warnings still persisted. So what I ended up doing was trying a test print and then trying a QForge print, and miraculously it was fine. So I ended up just ignoring it and my prints have been coming out okay. And funnily enough, the X-axis warning went away, but the Y-axis one still persists. So hopefully, I don't know, over time that will go away. But I hope it's nothing serious that I should be mindful of. I just hope that I'm not exacerbating the issue and there really is a problem. The other thing is that the AMS on the second printer wasn't really assembled correctly. My spools kept getting stuck with my prints and I couldn't really figure it out. And then I found out that the rollers that the spools are being held by weren't really slotted in. So I ended up having to just disassemble the AMS and then I just had to slot them in really simply. It was an easy fix, but it was something that it did frustrate me for a couple of hours, but I was able to find the solution. Now, the last thing, and this is user error, is changing filaments. So when you buy filaments from Bambu, you either can get a refill or you can get it on a spool. And for the most part, I had gotten them on a spool, but when I needed more of a specific filament color, I ended up just getting a refill because I could just put the refill in the spool. Now, the instructions to put the refill in the spool are pretty simple. You just take the spool apart, put the refill in, and then click it back together. But you need to make sure that the tape that's surrounding the refill is still there and you put the refill in the spool first and then you click it and then you remove the tape. And I was paying attention to this. I was following the directions. I think for a few of my refills, I had accidentally taken off the tape or I wasn't mindful of it. And even though that doesn't seem like a pretty big problem, it is in the long run when the printer is pulling the filament because it can easily get stuck. And countless times it has really gotten stuck, just because I didn't install the refill correctly. So that's something that I need to make sure to be mindful of when changing out filament colors or changing out refills in specific spools. Overall, this is a really great printer and I highly recommend it if you are new to 3D printing or thinking about starting. It's super user-friendly and it really has made 3D printing enjoyable for me and just really easy to learn and pick up. It's kept my interest. I knew that going into this, there was a possibility of me just getting really frustrated with it, but it's been really fun and I'm excited to create more things with it. As far as what I hope to create with my 3D printer in this new year, I'm really hoping to do stuff with magnets or lights or just create more functional stuff. Now, if you want to check out some of my 3D printed art, you can check them out at my shop at kevinram.com, or you can find more information on those items in my videos below. And if you have any questions or comments, or if you just started 3D printing yourself, feel free to leave your experience below. Thanks again and see you all in the next video. Theo, look at this doppelganger I printed for you. What do you think? Pretty close, huh? Okay.